deposit-based investments. Let's just give you a few minutes on these just to make sure everything's all fitted into one place for you as well. First of all, the question is why? Why do people want to have money on deposit? That's the first question to ask yourself. Well, there's 3 or 4 reasons why people should do it. First of all, it's for the short term. So if you're looking for investing your money in the short term, deposit accounts are ideal for you as well. You do earn interest, of course. That's the whole point behind it, unless you've got a current account that doesn't pay any interest, but then that's not really a deposit account, is it? The capital, of course, is safe. That's the key one. The capital itself is safe and secure because it's on the short term. And we do have the Financial Services Compensation Scheme, of course, which makes your capital secure. So there's some good reasons why people should. But why not is the next question. So let's just put a little why not in there for you. Why not is the next question to ask you. Well, there's a couple of reasons why you shouldn't put your money in deposit, really. And the first one, and the most important one, of course, is inflation. Now, inflation is always there. It's been up and down like a yo-yo last few years since the pandemic, but it does erode the value of money. So the real value of your deposits will decrease by inflation. Obviously, you're earning interest, so hopefully the interest counterfacts the inflation. But a lot of people like to spend their interest, don't they? But if the interest is added back in and you have a compounded effect, then inflation should be eroded. But again, the interest rate has to be more than the inflation, and that's not always possible. So where do you get your deposits from? Well, typically you get your deposits from banks and building societies. Now, banks and building societies, we know and love, we're very familiar with them. They are different types of organisation, of course. Let's just put my bank in there. Do you like that, do you? There's my picture of the bank. Banks and building societies are the most important providers of deposit accounts. Banks and building societies, banks are proprietary companies. They have shareholders. They report to their shareholders. They need to make profits. They have a bad name on that respect, but actually, when you think about it, when you get your judgment away from banks, they actually are there to make profits for their shareholders. So let's not forget that. Building societies are mutual organisations. They're there for their members. Therefore, they do make surplus or make profit. They put it back into surplus as well. But they provide deposit accounts, large amounts of them too. Now, a couple of things about building societies, if you're interested. In the 86 Act, which of course is a long time ago now. I mean, I started in the sector in 83, so a long time ago, that one. They did have a rule where they could only pick up around about 50% of their borrowing from the wholesale money markets. Now, as you know, building societies, banks, they lend money on mortgages. Now, building societies are restricted. They can only get 50% of their borrowing from the wholesale markets. The rest of it had to come from retail, so they have to provide deposit accounts to customers. Now, in 2007, not a lot of people know this, the new Act there increased that to 75%, but I don't think that's ever been enacted. It was brought in case of emergency, really, pretty much. The building societies have to provide deposits. Banks don't, but they do, and that's how they lend their money. Who else does it? Well, let's just put a few other people in there as well. Don't forget national savings and investments, part of the government's method of raising money to spend. National savings and investments, of course. You've got credit unions. We've got other videos on that one for you, which are small organisations. They offer deposits as well. So they're the main ones. So how do these work then? Well, let's just take a look at how these operate. And we'll take a look at the tax as well, just a bit of a picture for you. First of all, you have deposit accounts. So these organisations provide deposit accounts. Now, a deposit account is very different to a current account. A current account, as you know, is your bank account. That's who you have. It's where you pay your bills. You know, you've got your debit card and everything like that. It's on a dashboard, on an app, on a phone and everything. They don't always pay interest. In fact, very few of them do. Some do, particularly if they want to lure you into their business, their bank. But most current accounts don't pay, but deposit accounts do. They'll pay you interest. They'll pay you more if you want to have a notice account. In other words, you have to give notice to withdraw your money, which makes sense, doesn't it? If you're a regular saver, for example, that's another way of getting a very good rate of return as well, particularly with building societies. So there's different types of deposit accounts as well. You can have large cash deposits from organisations, but that's not from the banks or the building societies. Naturally, these can all be wrapped in an ISA. Obviously, current account can't be, but deposit account can be wrapped in an ISA, and that's how we get a cash ISA, and that, of course, is tax-free as well. The other thing, of course, about the deposit accounts, you can have fixed interest or variable rates depending on the product they're getting. So that's just a bit of detail there for you. Now, let's talk about the tax dog. Have you heard that phrase before, the tax dog? I love the phrase. Let's draw a little poodle here for you, a little dog there for you, a big ear there for you. It's not a very good one, but there's my little doggy. He's got a little tail. Now there's a phrase there, don't let the tax tail wag the dog, or something like that, which means that whenever you talk about products like this, we always have the tax implication. So how are these things taxed then? Let's just pick up on that topic for you. How are these things taxed? Well, first of all, interest is all payable gross. Now, there are one or two exceptions, but they're all payable gross, which means that you don't have tax deducted. But it is taxable. Don't forget that. It is taxable. It's not tax-free unless, of course, you have a cash ISA. But the majority of deposit accounts pay interest gross, but you are liable to pay the tax, and you must declare it. That's the whole point. If you've got some interest from the bank or building society, you must declare it, because you do have a little bit of an allowance. There's the personal savings allowance, which for most of us mere dues is £1,000 per annum. If you're a high rate taxpayer, it goes right down to £500 per annum. But that means you can earn £1,000 in interest without paying tax, which is great. But a lot of people that got 15 grand on deposit now, 20 grand on deposit, they'll earn themselves a bit more than £1,000 now with interest rates trickling upwards. So you must declare it in your self-assessment. Now there is a starting band of tax, a starting band, which means that you can earn more interest and not pay income tax. That's for very low earners. We've got another video on that topic as well. A couple of final points for you, just sort of mix things up a little bit. You do receive interest on a few other products as well that you may not have come across, which is taxed in the same way. And there's three really to think about here. You've got annuities. Again, we've got another video on that one for you. An annuity is a payment from the insurance company for people that are retired typically, and an annuity is paid, and that's expressed as interest, so you're taxed in the same way. You might have a collective like a unit trust or an OIC, and you might have those in fixed interest, and those pay interest again. And say most of them are in stocks and shares. I get they pay dividends, but some of them will pay interest as well. And don't forget, of course, about government gilts. Gilts also pay interest as well, so they're taxed in the same way, although they're not strictly called deposit accounts, are they? Just to make things confusing. Do you like my dog too? I hope you do. And I hope that's cleared up deposit accounts for you.